You have probably stood in front of your mirror this morning and done everything right. You used the volumizing mousse. You worked the round brush. You hit it with heat. And by the time you grabbed your keys, it already looked half of what it did 20 minutes earlier. I spent years doing the same thing and getting the same result. And the reason nobody could explain it to me, not my stylist, not the product labels, not the tutorials, is that the approach itself was the problem. After 60, each strand on your head has physically changed. The fiber is now roughly 16 times less able to resist gravity than it was 2 decades ago. So when you stack heavy product and high heat onto strands that are already too light to carry that weight, the collapse is not bad luck. It is physics working against a technique that no longer fits the hair you have. Here is what I want you to know before we go any further. One of the 7 secrets I'm about to walk you through comes with a side effect that looks exactly like failure. Most women see it, assume the technique is not working, and stop. They stop 4 to 6 weeks before everything changes. I will make sure you know what to look for so you do not do the same thing. If nobody in your life has ever explained your hair to you honestly, subscribe to Stylish Beyond 60%. This is what we do here every single week. And drop a comment telling me what time your volume usually gives up on you. Mine used to be gone before I finished my second cup of coffee. I want to know if yours is worse. Now let us talk about the fastest fix on this list, the one that takes 10 seconds and works before you even pick up a product. Here is something most women have never thought about. The part running down the center of your head is not just a style choice. It is a slow collapse in progress. The broken part. Every morning you draw that same line in the same place. Gravity presses the hair on both sides flat into a single track. Over months and years, that track becomes a groove. The hair lies down in it automatically now, and the result is a bright, continuous stripe of bare scalp running straight down your center. Because scalp catches light and hair absorbs it. And the sharper the line between the two, the wider that gap appears to anyone looking at you straight on. Here is the fix. Shift your part half an inch off its usual position. Hair that has been lying flat in one direction is suddenly pushed the opposite way, and it stands up on its own. No product, no heat. That lift is immediate, and it is real. Now take the tail of your comb and draw a soft zigzag back from your forehead instead of one clean line. That small stagger forces strands from both sides to cross over the gap and throw tiny shadows across it. The stripe disappears, and the crown that was flat a moment ago has visible lift. Keep it working by nudging the part slightly left one morning, right the next. Never the same channel twice in a row. Think of it like rotating tires. No single spot wears down. 10 seconds. A comb you already own. And a woman who walked out the door 3 minutes later with a crown that was actually standing. Now, here is where it gets counterintuitive. Because the next secret is something most stylists are still getting completely backwards. And if you are nodding because your last haircut left you looking thinner than when you sat down, this is the reason. The blunt perimeter. I want you to think about the last time a stylist told you that fine hair needs layers, that removing the bulk lets the rest breathe and move. It sounds right. And for decades, it was the standard advice. It is also why so many women over 60 pounds walk out of the salon and feel like something went wrong, even when the cut looked fine in the chair. When fine hair gets razored or texturized at the ends, every strand tapers down to almost nothing. You are left with see-through tips that no spray on earth can fill in, and a perimeter that seems to evaporate rather than frame your face. Fullness is not about the number of hairs on your head. It is about how many of them end at the same place. Cut them level, and they stack into a solid edge. A visual wall that light bounces off evenly, and that the eye reads as density, even when the actual hair count is low. Thin those ends out, and that wall turns to mist. The fix is a clean, blunt cut between the chin and the collarbone. That length sheds enough weight to keep the roots from collapsing while leaving enough hair to cover the scalp and frame your face. When you book your next appointment, use these exact words. No point cutting, no razor, no thinning shears. A solid line. Because many stylists reach for the thinning shears with older clients as a reflex, they think fine hair needs relief. What it actually needs is every strand they can keep at the same length. The daily habit working directly against this is asking for layers. Stop layering. What your hair needs at the perimeter is solidarity, not separation. The next secret is the one with the button most women never press. And it is the single reason a perfect blowout is flat before you reach your front door. The cool shot. Before I explain the fix, I want to explain the problem. Because once you understand what is actually happening inside your hair while you style it, you will never skip this step again. Every strand has tiny chemical bonds running through it. When heat from your dryer reaches those bonds, it breaks them open so the hair can bend and take a new shape. But here is what those product labels and those tutorials never mention. Those bonds do not lock back into place the moment the heat stops. They stay open, soft and moldable, until cool air resets them, and they set in whatever position the hair is holding at the exact moment they go cold. Cool your hair down while it is lifted on a brush, and it sets lifted. Cool it while it is drooping under its own weight, because you released it while it was still warm, and it sets flat within minutes, sometimes within seconds of stepping outside. That is why your blowout collapses before you reach the door. You did the hard work. You just skipped the 30 seconds that locks it in. Here is the move. Lift a section of hair at the root up and away from your scalp on a round brush. Warm it through. Then, before you release it, hit the cold shot button and hold it for a slow count of 5 to 10 seconds while that hair is still standing on the brush. Let go only after the cool air has finished. One important note before you start. This only works on hair that is already about 80% dry. Fully wet hair can stretch up to 50% of its length under tension, and that stretching tears the cuticle. Rough dry with just your fingers first. No brush, no heat, just movement and airflow until the hair feels mostly dry. Then bring in the brush for the final stretch. Warm to shape. Cold to hold. Picture your style at 7 in the morning, still standing at 4 in the afternoon. That is what 30 seconds of cold air actually buys you. If no one has ever explained your hair to you at this level before, this channel exists for exactly that reason. Subscribe now, and you will get this kind of straight talk every single week. The mechanics behind why things work, not just the tips. This next secret is the only one on this list that works at the cause instead of the appearance. And it comes with something I need to warn you about up front. Because what happens around week 12 stopped me the first time I tried it. The scalp massage. Around the 12-week mark, you may notice a few extra hairs in the sink or on your brush. More than usual. The instinct is to stop immediately, to assume the massage is making things worse. I stopped the first time, and I learned later that I quit exactly 4 weeks before the results would have arrived. That shedding is not damage. Those are hairs that were already on their way out, clearing the stage for the stronger ones growing in behind them. It is the process working, not failing. Push through that window, and what is waiting on the other side is measurably thicker hair. Here is the research behind it. A published study had adults perform a daily scalp massage for 24 weeks. The hairs measured at the end had thickened from roughly 85 microns across to 92. An 8% increase confirmed under a microscope. The researchers expected increased blood circulation to explain it. What they actually found was mechanical. Pressing and stretching the scalp skin squeezes the cells at the base of each follicle and physically activates the genes that build a thicker strand. The squeeze is doing work that no serum can replicate. The move is simple. Pads of the fingers, never the nails, flat on the scalp. Move the skin itself in firm, slow circles, not gliding over the hair, actually shifting the scalp tissue underneath your hands. Crown first, then the temples. 2 to 3 minutes each day. Gentle enough to do in bed before you fall asleep. It is the only secret here that keeps working long after you put the comb down. Next is the one that has nothing to do with how you style your hair, and everything to do with the color sitting on it. And it may be the reason every effort you make in front of the mirror is being quietly cancelled before anyone sees you. Dimensional color. Picture a fence with a missing slat. The gap is obvious not because the gap is wide, but because the boards on either side are solid and dark, and the contrast between them makes the space in between impossible to ignore. That is precisely what a single, flat, all one-tone hair color does to a thinning scalp. When every strand is dyed the same uniform shade, the scalp showing through catches the light against that dark backdrop. Every small gap between strands looks wider than it is. Flat color does not disguise thinning. It frames it, lights it up, and points every eye directly at it. The fix is dimension. Soft highlights and warm tones painted through the hair by hand scatter light into dozens of small reflections instead of one flat sheet. Those varied strands cast small shadows over each other and blur whatever scalp is visible underneath. The technique to ask for is a face-framing balayage with a root shadow that keeps the grow-out seamless and soft. Now there is a second direction worth considering. One I resisted for a long time myself. Letting the grey grow in. I used to think going grey meant giving something up. What I did not expect was what came back instead. Natural silver is semi-translucent. Each strand catches light at a slightly different angle and creates a movement and luminosity that solid dye simply cannot imitate. The morning I stopped fighting it was the first morning in years I looked in the mirror and thought, that actually looks like me. If you are considering it, the only maintenance silver genuinely needs is a purple-toned shampoo once a week to prevent yellow from creeping in. Use it gently, though. Porous grey absorbs that violet pigment fast, and overdoing it tips straight into steel blue before you realise what happened. Whichever road you take, dimensional colour or natural silver, the rule does not change. Many tones hide a scalp. One flat tone reveals it, every single time. And if you've been chasing grey with a full head box dye every few weeks, know that, on fine hair after 60, repeated high-strength chemical processing is doing structural damage to each strand that makes the volume problem harder to solve with every application. Stay right here. 2 secrets left. You will not believe what the last one is, but I promise you have been doing damage with it every single night for years without knowing it, and the fix costs less than dinner out. The ingredient rule. This secret saves you money and gives you back volume that product has been quietly stealing from you for years. Before you buy your next shampoo, conditioner, or styling product, flip the bottle and read the first 3 ingredients. That is where the bulk of any formula lives. If you see dimethicone near the top, put it back on the shelf. Here is why that one ingredient matters so much on fine aging hair. Dimethicone does not rinse out with a regular shampoo. It cannot. It is not water soluble. So it builds up coat after invisible coat with every single wash, adding weight to your roots that you never feel arriving, but absolutely feel by noon when your crown goes flat, and you do not know why. And remember what I told you at the start of this video. Each strand is already 16 times less able to resist gravity than it used to be. You do not need much extra weight to fold it over completely. 2 moves seal this. Keep conditioner from your ears down only, never at the roots. The roots need to stand up, not slip. And once a week, use a clarifying shampoo to strip every residue that has accumulated since the last one. After your first proper clarifying wash, run a finger across your roots. They will feel almost squeaky. Strange if you are not used to it. Like something is missing. What is missing is the coating. What is coming back over the next 3 washes is movement you genuinely forgot your hair was capable of. That lightness you feel, that is what your roots have been trying to do all along. The overnight fix. Every night, your hair drags across your pillow for 6 to 8 hours. A cotton pillowcase feels smooth in your hand. Under a microscope, its fibers are coarse and jagged. They catch on the cuticle scales of your hair all night long, lifting them away from the shaft, the same scales you worked to seal flat that morning. And because cotton is thirsty, it pulls moisture out of each strand while you sleep, leaving your hair drier, more brittle, and more prone to the breakage you have been trying to stop. You wake up with a crushed crown, frizz at the temples, tangles that need brushing, and that brushing creates more friction, which creates more damage, night after night, without you ever connecting the cause to the effect. An independent fiber science lab called Princeton measured this directly. Significantly less friction between silk and hair than between cotton and hair. That is not a marketing claim. That is a measured result from an independent lab. The fix is a mulberry silk or high-quality satin pillowcase. Your hair glides across it instead of catching. Less friction overnight means the cuticle stays sealed, the moisture stays in, and the lift you built yesterday morning is largely still there when you open your eyes. Zero technique. Zero extra time. You simply change what you sleep on, and you stop undoing 8 hours of work every single night. One honest note before you shop. The percentage reduction numbers pillowcase brands love to quote come from those same brands, not from independent science. Buy it for the friction and the moisture. Those are the two things that are actually proven, and they are more than enough reason. Think back to where this video started. A woman standing at her mirror, doing everything she was ever told to do, watching her work disappear before she walked out the door. That woman was not failing. She was following rules that no longer applied to the hair she had, and nobody had bothered to give her the updated ones. Picture her now. She shifts her part to a fresh line in 10 seconds. She asks for a blunt edge, and she means it. She holds the cold shot for a count of 5 before she lets go of the brush. She moves her scalp in slow circles while she winds down at night, and she knows not to panic at week 12. She reads the first 3 ingredients before anything goes into her cart, and she wakes up on silk. She's not working harder than she used to. She's working smarter with the hair she actually has. And she leaves the house at 8 in the morning, still looking like herself at 5 in the afternoon. That is not a fantasy. It is just the right information, finally. You can start tonight with a comb and a dryer you already own. If this video gave you something real, subscribe to Crowned in Elegance. Every week, we bring you this level of straight talk for women over 60 who deserve honest information and not just pretty promises. Then share this with one woman in your life who is still fighting this battle every morning. She will thank you. And leave me a comment. Which of these 7 secrets hit you the hardest? My guess is the cool shot or the pillowcase. Tell me I am wrong. I will see you in the next one.